Yo, what's up? Hey guys, it's your man Bob Rock here, and this is the B Rock RC Show, a live podcast for the drifter by a drifter. So how you doing, guys? Also, give me an indication of the audio quality. Is the audio fine? Is it all good? Is it sounding a little better than compared to the other shows? Just let me know. Sorry about the delay. I had a slight extended stay at work, so I just had to get things working and finished off, and then I could leave work, obviously. And yeah, so I didn't want to do the show while I was still on the road, and etc. etc. But now I'm at home. I'm relaxed. I'm chilled. Everything is good. So how was your guys' weekend? Because mine was a little bit awful. I broke down with my car, and it was in another city, and I live in another city, and I couldn't get around. And anyway, I couldn't get any drifting done this weekend, so I had to sort the car out. But once again, all is well. The car is fine and fixed, and I'm back on the road, and all is good. You gotta just roll with the punches, I guess. So yeah, I'd love to know what you guys have been up to this weekend, since I didn't had quite an eventful weekend myself. Um, so what's up, guys? How you all doing? How are you all doing? Okay, so last week we had quite an interesting episode quite an interesting podcast where I brought to you um, what's going on in South Africa, a little bit about the different regions, what's happening in the different regions. We also touched on CS and how is that doing around the world, and would guys want to see it again or not. And then we touched on something which I'm very, how can I put it? Something which I'm very, not adamant, but I'm a strong supporter of, is supporting the local community before supporting the external, the outside community. So we use a phrase here in South Africa which we call local is lekker. So basically, that means whatever's local is it's good, and the phrase came about to encourage supporting the local industry and supporting the local community. So we also coined that in our RC drifting this side. And the reason why I spoke about local is lekker and proudly South African and supporting the local industry before supporting the international industries, because we have an amazing, proudly South African manufacturer of RC accessories, which all you guys know about already, which is the SRC brand, the Sideways RC brand, started by a really good and dear friend of mine, Vivian. And the moment you mention that name, everybody knows Vivian. So he's quite an accomplished RC drifter, an incredible and fantastic RC scale builder, and also another amazing businessman with this beautiful brand called SRC and the Sideways RC. So last week I spoke to Vivian about his brand and how he started, and we covered a few of the points that he spoke about. But I feel like I didn't quite do justice to the brand, so I thought I just wanted to share just a few more points which we had spoken about to each other, which I hadn't shared with you guys. So it's it's a, how can I put it? It's a blessing if one is able to turn their hobby or their passion into their job, their full-time job. And this is what Vivian has done with the SRC brand. He took something that was his hobby and which started growing to an incredible level, and then made that his sole source of income and business, which I thought was amazing. So I asked him, so like, how did it feel? How does it feel working for yourself? And uh, the things that he mentioned was, it's absolutely amazing, and you feel such a huge sense of accomplishment, and it's incredibly empowering. Um, so for those listening that want to start your business or go off on your own, be it in RC or anything else, um, this is it's definitely words to ponder about and perhaps act on if it suits your style or your thinking. So another thing he mentioned was that working for himself was actually built a lot of self confidence in him. So it's a lot of hard work, but he managed to, or he saw this confidence in himself just building and rising, and through that his products became better and bigger, and obviously he worked harder because everything started falling into place. I think that's one of the big things, even when you're drifting, it's confidence. It's just having the confidence in yourself and your ability uh, also tends to make you a better drifter. um, so the uh, after asking him about that, about how did it feel working for himself, out of all the things that he mentioned, not one thing was negative. So that also, it's a huge thing when you really think about it. Not one word he mentioned was negative about how you about his whole business and how his whole approach to the business, and that we definitely need to take into account. So I also asked him, was it always your plan to be your own boss? And it never was. He had a solid job, um, and he was always good with his hands and very creative with his hands, and he feels very fortunate that he was able to, or he had that skill set that helped mold the new business. um, so I asked him, it's always, for a manufacturer, you always want to produce the best kind of product you can and sort of be the best person you can be. And obviously, you have this thing that, your products are the best. Uh, and I mean it in a humble way. So I asked him, like, what sets SRC apart? Why should we buy SRC as opposed to the many other manufacturers that's out there? So his motto for behind SRC is, um, if he wouldn't buy it, then he doesn't want to sell it. So if there's a product there that's not of the quality, he he wouldn't even sell it or manufacture it himself. So he's definitely put a lot of thought and effort into all of the products that he's produced, and I think it shows. I think it shows. So the other thing I asked him was, what's the plans for RC in the future? What would we want to see? So he's his main sort of motivation behind it is he just wants to stay in the business, make sure that SRC uh, has a long lifeline or long life in the SRC in the RC game. And so I think we're going to see new products coming from SRC because he wants to expand into other areas of RC and not just drifting. So I think that's going to be very nice for the RC community as a whole, and not just the drift community. I think that's going to be fantastic to see for us. Um, Yeah, and the last piece that he wanted to advise anybody wanting to go off on their own, it's not easy, and it's a lot of hard work, a lot of pressure. You got to be prepared for both positive and negative comments and crits and situations, and the main one of the main things you can do is actually doing a lot of market research. So you need to go in there, find out who's your target markets and stuff like that. So yeah, that wraps up SRC, and I think it was he's a fantastic guy. I think it's a brilliant brand. If you guys have access to SRC accessories and products, you guys really should go out and check it out and try it out if you haven't already. So yeah, that wraps up SRC. Thank you again to Vivian and Sideways RC for all of that. Uh, I appreciate the time and effort that he's given, allowed me to speak with him, given his busy schedule. So thank you again, Vivian. Appreciate it, my bro. Yeah. So early on, I asked a question, and it just something just got me thinking about RC. With drifting, even with RC generally, it's quite a male dominated hobby, a male dominated sport. But I have come across a small number of ladies who drift, and it just got me thinking, like, why aren't there more ladies drifting? And who are the ladies out there that do drift, and why don't we see more of them drifting? So I put out a question, just to put out a feeler, just to see who's out there, and who I can connect with, and get get their perspective on the scene, and find out what's going on in their part of the world. So the first person that actually responded quite quickly was a friend of mine by the name of Stacy Morris. Hey, Stacy. And just thank you so much, Stacy, for responding that quickly, and giving me your ear, and letting me know what's going on out there. So Stacy is from the UK, and she's well, obviously a fellow RC drifter. She's been in the RC game for about 3 years now. She's known about the RC game for about 5 years, when she got together with her better half, and ever since then she's been quite keen, quite interested, and I'd say she's got hooked to RC drifting. Um, so I asked her stuff like, how many other lady drifters are there in the UK around where she stays, and how many do you know? Do you see many? So apparently in the UK there's actually not much lady RC drifters. That's so odd. That's so odd, and I wonder why. So I asked her, like, like, how come there's so few, or there's none whatsoever? And, uh, uh, she feels that maybe they look at the RC cars as just toys, and would like barely any interest in them. And I quoted her back, and told her I think it's actually a global phenomenon amongst ladies, that they look at the RC cars and they just see it as a toy. Um, so I think that's one perspective which we need to change amongst the ladies, because we'd like to see more ladies drifting as well. I know a few ladies drifting, like besides Stacy. So I know of my fellow Kamwadi teammate Jenny, um, and her daughter Freya, and they're actually incredible drifters. Um, then there's Anna Karen. I think I'm so sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. I'm so sorry, but that's just how I read the name, and then that's just how I pronounced it. So Anna Karen, I know she's also quite an accomplished drifter. Um, there's Jessica. Oh my God, Jessica from Spain. She's amazing RC drifter. Jeepers, she's really good. I got to meet some of them when I went to Worlds. Like Jessica was one of them with her better half. I met, and such down to earth, such nice people. But geez, what a drifter, jeepers! I enjoyed myself speaking to them as much as I could, because she doesn't really speak English. Uh, but it was nice. It was fun. I drifted with her. It was incredible. Uh, really good. I also drifted with Jenny a little bit, just a little bit. But jeepers, these ladies were eating me up. They were putting me away. So I really got to brush up on my drift skills. And then another person, a great supporter of RC drifting, especially her family, is Lisa Burns. Uh, yeah, wow, what a supporter of RC drifting, and especially both the boys, uh, Jacob and JB. And it's an amazing thing to see a whole family come together for RC drifting, where everybody is so involved uh, in this fantastic hobby and sport that we love. And it's I wish we had more of that kind of support. um, but slowly, things will change. Maybe things will change. I think it has to start from ourselves as well. We gotta we gotta try and put in the effort to change these perspectives that RC drifting is uh, these RC cars are just toys, and that it's just a hobby, it's just a pastime. It's so much more than that. So I think that's something we can work on, to get more people involved. Another person I spoke to is somebody who I've been I've been following for a long time. Her name is Masumi-san. She runs the RCC circuit down in Japan. Beautiful polished concrete. I don't know whether it's waxed or whatever, but it's polished concrete track. Runs it all the time. It's such a cool track. I know some of the guys have visited there. Some of the UK guys. I'm sure James was there. James Simpson. I'm sure. I think Rory also visited there, and then obviously my bro Asif. Where and which track hasn't he visited? Well, besides SA, but that man has been like all over the world, drifting all over the place. I know Japan is his playground, especially Iroha circuit. I know he's absolutely loves that place, and one day I'm gonna join him there. One day I'm gonna join him for sure. So yeah, I also spoke to Masumi-san, and she's actually in the RC game for 10 years now. Can you believe it? 10 years. She also drifts, but I think her passion lies in how can I put it? Her passion lies in giving other people uh, a good time at her circuit, seeing and watching them enjoy themselves at her circuit. I think is what really makes her happy, and she's always there with her camera, taking the most fantastic pictures that you'll see. And so she's a great supporter of RC drifting, and she mentions that as long as she will support us drifting for as long as she is able to, and she loves having people around, and also obviously, so what's the scene like in Japan with when it comes to the ladies? And she's like, no, in Japan there's like probably about 10 lady drifters. Like, really, 10? Just 10? And she's like, yeah, just 10, because most of the ladies in Japan are more worried about their aesthetics and their nails and how they look and really girly, girly stuff. Without trying to be offensive to anybody else, just girly, girly. You know, that princess girly type stuff. So I found that quite interesting, considering the amount of RC drifting that's going on there. Um, there are few people though there. I think the lady from Top Line. I'm so sorry. I really can't remember your name right now, but I know it's a lady from Top Line. She's also involved quite heavily, and she's also involved with RCDC. I know. I've been seeing her photos like around there. Um, and then locally in South Africa, I think one of the greatest supporters, or yeah, I'd say one of the greatest supporters of RC drifting is my friend Cisco's wife, Lauren. She's an amazing supporter of RC drifting. Obviously, with all the ladies and all our better halves, there reaches a point where they're like, okay, my boy, I think you had enough now, and I think you need to give it a break. Like, and that's understandable. But Lauren has been an amazing supporter of RC drifting, especially Cisco's career for like forever. And another person I know of is Margot, which is Robin's better half. She also is a great supporter of RC drifting. Um, and that's the kind of thing we need. I know up in Joburg. I apologize if I miss your better halves as well, because I know Vivian's wife, Alicia. I know she's a great supporter as well. Kevin from Joburg as well. His wife is also a very strong supporter of RC drifting. So yeah, it's really nice to see that there are some ladies out there who support their better halves and the hobby. Um, it it gives us more confidence to sort of try and do better, and up our skills and those kinds of things. And big up to you ladies for giving us that support. We really appreciate it. Half the time we really won't be able to do as much as we do if we don't have that kind of support, even if it's from the family as well. We need that kind of support uh, to take this hobby further. So yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if you guys are enjoying this podcast, today's podcast. Maybe uh, I think it probably will bounce back. Um, so whilst I had a bit of time, I started uh, assembling the Year Racing RR kits on my YD2. So I had it all set up and everything. Year Racing, the Year Racing kit, the RR kit made the YD2 very heavy. Heavy. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me again? Sorry for that break in the audio there. Uh, hey, what's up? What's up, Rob? What's up? What's up, Chester? Thank you guys for listening in. I really appreciate it. For the guys that just joined in, this is your man Bob Rock, and this is the B Rock RC show. a live podcast for the drifters by a drifter. We're talking about the ladies of RC drifting, and we of SRC, a fantastic local brand built up from the ground by a great friend and brother of mine. So yeah, we're taking it a bit further. We'd love to see more ladies drifting. We spoke about having that support, even if the lady drifting, but we have some fantastic, amazing ladies in RC drifting who are great supporters, and we wouldn't be as far as we are with RC drifting if it wasn't for their support, be it from the background. We really can't do much without their support, really. We got to give it up to the ladies as well. As much as we love this hobby and as much as it's a male dominated hobby, we got to give it up to the ladies who sometimes are in the background and pushing us further. So yeah, I was talking about me setting up the Year Racing Aluminium RR kit, and I don't know. I'm not too convinced about it because of the heavy rear weight balance of the whole chassis. I'm not feeling it, but obviously I've got to take it to the track and do a bit of testing and adjusting. And from what I could see, there's a lot of setup changes that need to be made from, especially in terms of the suspension, both front and rear. So I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. Maybe not the RR kit necessarily, but maybe the YD2 rear conversion kit. What are your guys' thoughts? Have you tried it? Hey, Stefan. Stefan is my fellow Kamwadi family bro, and he recently celebrated the birth of his child. Congrats again, my bro. The baby is beautiful, beautiful, and we know your kid is gonna be one of the next generation of Kamwadi drivers. Maybe I'm just speculating, but maybe. But yeah, man, Stefan has been incredibly instrumental in getting me up and running and helping me out, and I'm forever in his debt. Really, thank you, guys. So yeah, back to that RR kit. I'm not entirely convinced, but I suppose we got to put it on the track and then see what it does. I'm hoping that the whole hype of the rear motor conversion is what I'm expecting it to be. Even well, I hope that it's more than what I expect it to be, because at the moment I'm not quite convinced about it, as I mentioned. But what is going on? I'm so sorry about the break in this in the audio, guys. The network in we are experiencing a terrible time here in SA when it comes to our internet and our power and the economy. And geez, it can be so frustrating, so frustrating. But we're gonna count our blessings and we're gonna make do with what we have. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that rear motor conversion kit works out. So with I'm gonna test it out and see from there what you guys and give you some feedback what you guys think. So yeah, I think I've been speaking for a minute and speaking for quite a bit, and there's much I need to do. I need to go just make some adjustments to my gum. I need to finish the dampers on my hybrid. I need to do a few more small changes to the YD2, so that'll be ready for running. And I'm going to actually pass that on to my boy. um, he doesn't know it yet. But I'm just gonna put him onto the rear wheel drive. I think he's gonna struggle a little bit with CS. So I'm just gonna put him straight onto rear wheel drive and sort of just push him and teach him whatever I know. So it's important for us to pass on the baton. So you know as it may, to pass on the baton to the next generation, so that we can um, so that we can legacy, and we're creating longevity in this hobby. And the next generation may come with things that we haven't really thought of before. And it's going to be exciting to have my son with me RC drifting, and watch him grow and get his skills up, and then just tandem with my boy. I think it's going to be I can't wait for the day where he's getting in my door, and then eventually when he's going to tell me. It's going to be like a scene out of Fast and Furious, where Paul Walker tells Vin Diesel, "Dude, I almost had you." So I'm actually looking at that moment, experiencing that moment where my son is like overtaking me. I'm going to give him hell before he does, but I can't wait for that day. And I feel like that's my